Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Robinson on a little short video right now. I don't have a whole lot of time because time is now of the essence for me. I got to go to work in the morning, do all that, yah, yah, yah. So let me just touch on yesterday's game real quickly. 17-15, the Raiders fall to the Washington football team. Virtually everything that I said needed to happen in some capacity did, but not enough. Real quick before we even get too far down the road, the defense played a hell of a game. They gave up one ugly drive in the first quarter. The opening drive was a horrendous drive, and then they held up all the way until the fourth quarter, I believe. um I see a lot of car stands. I see a lot of people pointing to the fact that Trayvon Morig missed a game clinching interception, and they're right. He did. He definitely did. But there's a couple of cliches that you say he plays defense because he can't catch. That's as old as time. But specifically, when the game is on the line, we look at that a little differently. And no, Brian, the defense was not good on third downs. But you know who really wasn't good on third downs? It was the offense. What's up, Dundee? 2 of 8 against the 32nd ranked defense against third downs. Now, Marcus Johnson has been going back and forth with me about how during a 3-game winning streak for Washington, those numbers are slightly skewed. They held Tampa to 2 of 10. They held the what was it? It wasn't the Panthers to 2 of 9, and yet somehow the wingless Seahawks, who also scored 17 points against this very same Washington football team defense, was able to convert 4 out of 10 third downs. So I really, really don't. I'm not going to make that excuse. So the offense made it to the red zone twice, and the time that they scored in the red zone was heavily assisted by penalties. Let's keep it a buck. By penalties, they got walked down to the end zone to where they could get a 1-yard touchdown run from Josh Jacobs. After the game, you can tell that there are players who are visibly frustrated, who are speaking out in frustration, who are trying to rally the troops. And Josh Jacobs came out and he told everybody the truth. He said the quiet part out loud. So did Rich. Rich Bisaccia straight up threw his quarterback under the bus and said, our quarterback is missing throws, and yeah, you might be under duress, but you got to produce a better effort than that. Said we're missing the speed guys. We're not throwing blind passes to wide open guys. Now we could go back and we could look at a rich history of opposing quarterbacks who are throwing blind passes with helmets on backwards, kicked in the face, and yet they're still completing passes. One thing that we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to get past this whole yard narrative. Yards mean nothing. Yards don't put points on the board. They don't. Not at all. The Raiders quarterback, who's supposed to be elite, at least that's what these car stands will tell you, these car fans and all these educated football people will tell you that Carr is elite. Carr is great. Carr has thrown 1 touchdown in 2 weeks. 1. We all wanted to say that he was back because they had a great game against the Cowboys. Cowboys defense is looking suspect as hell right now. Let's call it what it is. But this whole thing that the Raiders got going on now, it's over. It's over. It's over. You can continue to say that they need this, they need that, this happened, that happened. At some point, you have to stop making excuses, whether they're reasons or not. It's messed up what happened to John Gruden. It's messed up what happened to Henry Ruggs. It's messed up every time the Raiders experience some adversity that they're not able to overcome. Is it a contributing factor? Absolutely it is. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that that doesn't have some type of effect, but this is a professional football organization. Your job, you get paid millions of dollars to win. I took a lot of heat from guys talking about how immature I was, how uncultured. Oh, Derek Carr is quoting if. Said if the athlete loses, if the athlete wins, don't get too high, don't get too low. Derek Carr's record is 53-69. Perhaps maybe he should get a little lower on the losses and maybe a little higher on the victories so that he would be encouraged to win more. I'm just saying. I said ex-pro players will tell you nobody hates losing more than they do. Nobody puts more into it than they do. And to that, I could see that. And I could agree with that. That's a valid point. But this is 8 years of one winning season. And these last 3 years, 2019, 2020, and now 2021, all look carbon copy cookie cutter. There's always an excuse. There's always a reason it's somebody else's fault. And more to the point, it seems that we're always blaming a rookie for this team's problems. The rookie didn't make the interception, so they lost the game. The rookie's not running the right route, so we can't get him the ball right. I'm like, well, enough is enough. Like, there's too many mistakes. John Gruden, it was funny on Hard Knocks when John Gruden said he wanted better fucking execution. I've been saying it every single week of this season. Block, tackle, execute. That's all they need to do. So the play calling was atrocious. It was horrible. It was terrible. It was probably the worst game plan they've had all season. In terms of going against this particular football team, it was indeed the worst game plan they've had all season. The commit, I understand wanting to be balanced and commit to the running game, but this team showed you who they were in the first 3 weeks of the season. They had, in order to be good, in order to win, they had to spread the field out and be a vertical style offense. And they stopped. They went back to the same old conservative play calling. You saw a couple new plays once Olsen took over for Gruden, and then it's largely been back to the same script, the same unimaginative wash, rinse, repeat. Second downs offense is tipping the scales of where they're going, what they're doing, and voila, you have another loss in which the offense failed to put up 20 points, which they've now done 6 out of the last 9 times. 4 out of the 6 victories were overtime victories. What the fuck is going on? Okay? No sense of, your running back is coming out saying there's no sense of urgency. Guys are not in the proper mindset. That is the story of this football team. Nobody's ever in the proper mindset. It doesn't matter. You can cycle through coaches, you can cycle through players, you can cycle through coordinators, but nobody's ever, all 22 guys, let me not say nobody, all 22 guys are not focused, are not ready to win, are not in the proper mindset every single game. They have yet to play 60 minutes of complete football on both sides of the ball. Field goals, field goals, field goals. Field goals do not win football games in the 2021 NFL. They don't. If you're not scoring 6 in a pass-happy league, what are you doing? It is mind-boggling. The offensive line did not have a good game, but they provided enough opportunity for Carr to do his thing. Carr made a play or two, and yes, Andre James needs to hit the weight room. He's got to get better. Right now, the Raiders got to develop that offensive line or find replacement pieces. Um, John Simpson was holding every single play. I watched him execute more successful hug blocks than any I've seen in a while. Uh, Brandon Parker's out missing blocks on the edge. Is they it was bad. It was bad. But even with how bad it was, there was still opportunity for them to get it done. It was still opportunity for them to go out and win this game. Washington was not great by any stretch of the imagination. And all week long, or not even all week long, but when me and Jones did the last show, and then when we did our little fan cast on Saturday night, we said Washington is going to come in and grimy this game up. And the Warriors are going to have, not the Warriors, the Raiders are going to have to out grimy the Washington football team. And they didn't. They didn't. Uh, the pass rush that was supposed to have no trouble with this offensive line once again disappeared. Mad Max, my heart goes out to that guy. Honestly, this is one of the things that makes it hard for Raiders to keep stars. This guy can't get a holding call to save his fucking life. He can't. He can be held up by the neck, get his helmet ripped off. He can have two guys sandwiching him and holding and grabbing him, wrapping both arms around him, holding each other, and not get a holding call. But this guy will get a roughing the passer for even looking at the quarterback. He got a roughing the passer when he rolled over the quarterback. Didn't even hit the ground. They said he drove him into the ground. Max didn't even hit the ground. He was able to put his hand down and get back up with the, if he had had the football, he would have still been able to run. But somehow he got a personal foul, roughing the penalty call because he hit Tyler Heinicke too hard. He hit him too hard, guys. Max is out here hitting quarterbacks too hard. Can't get a holding call. Meanwhile, while he's getting a roughing the passer call, his counterpart right next to him is got an arm around his neck and is getting thrown on the ground. What do you do? What do you do? Trayvon Mullen, they need Trayvon Mullen back. Everybody who says that we don't need Trayvon Mullen is overrated. Oh, he's this. Oh, he's that. Listen, if you look at what Brandon Faison did, you need him back. Brandon Faison is good in zone. Is looks to be a great zone corner. Man to man, I see why he was on the practice squad. It hasn't happened for him. The underneath coverage of this defense continues to be a problem. And now that Denzel Perryman is hurt, and we don't know for how long, because honestly, I almost didn't recognize that he was down. Well, he was hurt and not playing. You now have you now have an issue with tackling and run defense. Divine Diablo got some burn. He doesn't cover tight ends well as a linebacker, especially as a middle linebacker. And I see that it looks like they're attempting to emulate what they're doing in Arizona, where they got a lot of big, fast, strong safeties as linebackers. But we need some guys who are actual linebackers, who don't sit and wait for the play to come to them, for the running backs to come to them. They go get the running back. Kuntz got some burn. He got a sack, a half a sack with actually Cleve Farrell. Now, we talk a lot of crap about Cleve Farrell, but Cleve Farrell was hooking the ankle when Kuntz was getting the other half of Heinicke for that sack. Nobody's going to give him credit for that, but I will. But Kuntz is too light, too small for the run game. He just is. He just is. But I don't want to. I try not to be a downer, but we could look at all the permutations for playoffs. But I said it before: the Raiders need to take care of their own business. If these Raiders go out and beat the Chiefs this week in Arrowhead in December in the cold, I will be absolutely flabbergasted, just shocked, awed, just like mouth open, just like wow. And I still won't believe that they're playoff bound, because the inconsistency of this football team is the only constant. The only constant, along with the losing. Whenever they need to get something done, they just don't do it. You can say, you can point at every single reason, and there's plenty of them. Defense didn't play well this game. Offense didn't play well this game. Receivers didn't catch. Guys didn't get open. Once again, your quarterback didn't see an open guy that he liked throwing the football to. Djax was open. Zay Jones was open. Bryan Edwards is open. We've talked about, the lack of separation. Bryan Edwards is only getting 5.5 feet of separation on his routes. The Washington football team beat the Raiders with 4 guys. We'll say 4 guys because we got to really 3.5. Terry McLaurin didn't get off. He had some third down conversions and he got some yards, but they kept him out of the end zone. Logan Thomas, I said it ad nauseum. They got to watch out for him. He killed him. Logan Thomas killed him. Ate him up, beat him. Antonio Gibson ran at will. I watched all of Washington's zone runs, and I watched him looking exclusively for cutback opportunities, and he was getting 5-6 yards every play right up the gut. And luckily, Ron Rivera decided he wasn't going to run. He wasn't going to stick with the running game. Otherwise, this would have been a much worse loss than it was. He let Tyler Heinicke go out and outduel Derek Carr and let Jack Del Rio shut down the Raiders' offense. Shut down the league's leader in passing yards. Jack Del Rio. Do you remember how bad Jack Del Rio's defense was? We couldn't wait to get rid of him. We blamed Ken Norton Jr. He left. The defense didn't get any better. So Jack left. And then he went to Washington. And now Washington has beaten Tampa. Now Washington has beaten the Raiders. And what do we have? We got more dysfunction, more lack of communication, more offensive inefficiencies, more of our quarterback talking about how you can blame him, more of the excuse making. We've been on no excuses for the last 2 years, guys. This is coming from the coach, the general manager, the quarterback, the players, and yet here we stand on another Monday morning after a game, all talking about how the Raiders lost and how it was because this, that, and a third. Playoffs. Playoffs is what they told us, what they promised us at the beginning of the year. Playoffs is not what you're going to see. Even if they were to win the rest of their games, I would change my mind, but I don't see them. I have a hard time seeing that happen. It's just off base what you've seen. It's bad. It's bad. Hard pass. Have you seen what Clemson's been doing this year? Clemson is not. They didn't even play for the ACC championship. Forget not the national championship. They didn't even win the conference this year. Is Dabo a good HC? That's a hard pass, homie. It's your fault for belong the first 4 wins. Somebody has to, but it's frustrating, and the Raider Nation fans deserve better. They were promised everything was going to change once they got to Vegas, and they brought all of Oakland's dysfunction to a nice new market, a beautiful, welcoming city, and who gave them everything that they could ask for to be a modern NFL franchise, and yet they continue to bring the losing. They continue to bring a lack of focus. They continue to not be able to get it done in the clutch situations. It always looks good at the beginning of the season, and then somehow it all goes horribly astray. Um, I'm still not quite ready to start talking coaching and drafts, but now would be a good time to start taking a look around the league and seeing what is available, seeing what you might want to consider. Joe Brady is out as offensive coordinator for the Panthers. He really shouldn't be the head coach of the Raiders. Harbaugh just won at Michigan. He's in the college football playoffs. He's about to get a statue and a brand new contract, so he's not going anywhere. But you look at around the league. I like Byron Leftwich. I like uh, I like Eric Bieniemy. There's another one of the Chiefs' offensive assistant who rumor has it is doing more for the Chiefs than Bieniemy. I That remains to be seen, but we'll see. That was something that was mentioned to me. The offensive coordinator at Buffalo, and we need to start looking around to see who's working with less. Hey, let's just see that. Let's see who's working with less. Everybody says that the Raiders don't have any talent. I don't believe that for a second. I don't think that they need to blow up this entire roster. I think that they need to find somebody who can win with what they got and change some pieces out. And at this point, Raider Nation, let me be honest and let me be frank. It is time for Derek Carr to go. If he can win with another franchise, he deserves the opportunity to do so. This is all of you can make every excuse for him and say that every circumstance was one why he shouldn't be able to win, and you could be correct. You would be absolutely correct. And I could also turn around and say that this franchise gave him 8 years, gave him five offensive coordinators, four head coaches, two to three roster makeovers, seven Pro Bowlers, six Pro Bowlers a year after he had seven, and none of it has worked. He's given them one winning season. They made him the highest paid player in the league, and then everybody's told me about all the help that he needs. And for all of that, you've gotten one winning season, one 500 season, and the rest of it has all been losing. All of it. Thank you, DJ. In this league, guys don't get 2 years. Guys don't get 3 years. Josh Rosen didn't even get one. He got a year. They drafted Kyler Murray and traded his ass. 1 year with a rookie head coach who also got 1 year. Sometimes you got to cut bait. Sometimes you do. Do the Raiders deserve Carr? Probably not. At this point, probably not. Does Carr deserve the Raiders? At this point, it's hard to say that too. The Raiders are an organization that needs a complete upheaval. The lack of player development, the lack of drafting consistently good players is a major, major problem. It is a major problem. But the Raiders have been like that historically for almost every period of time except for under Madden and Tom Flores, where they couldn't develop talent. Look at what Al did. He grabbed everybody's cast-offs and leftovers and put them together and formed a winner. That was the Raider way. The Raiders need to change that Raider way because that Raider way is not working, has not worked, and is not going to work in the foreseeable future. They have to be able to do something better with their draft picks than what they're doing. If they're going to continue to draft that poorly, they need to start trading those picks for proven players that work in a system and quit trying to square peg a round hole. I see 34 people in here. Please like and subscribe. I love you all. Thank you. Good morning. Don't let this team get you down. We will drop a full episode of Unfiltered Truth later on this week. I got a jam. I'll holler at y'all. We out.